Hi, let us look at assessment criteria 1.3 for societal impact. So in this theory video for assessment criteria 1.3 in societal impact, we're going to look at a few areas to focus on in terms of your exam, which are critical, and assess the ability of an organization to deliver positive societal impact, short term and long term, right? So in terms of the indicative content, as you can see, there are some key theories that we are going to investigate, as well as some other factors which are practical discussions. So sustainable marketing is defined as socially and environmentally responsible marketing that meets the present needs of consumers and businesses. So the key words here is socially and environmental responsible marketing, right? That meets the needs of consumers and businesses, whilst also preserving and enhancing the ability for future generations to meet their needs, right? So these are some of the keywords. So our job as marketers is to ensure that we are responsible in our marketing, focus on sustainability, which means the environment, and social sustainability. And one company that does that very well is Patagonia. I mean, they are just an ordinary jacket selling company, but they are one of the world's best examples for being a company that is responsible. You can also see what they're doing up there. Worn wear, recrafted by Patagonia. So what they've done is they've taken people either who have returned, exchanged, or in some other way, who have returned their jackets. And Patagonia Worn Wear Recrafted initiative creates upcycle products made from stockpiled fabric and beyond repair clothing that would otherwise end up in a landfill. The scars tell a story. So this is an extreme organization when it comes to social responsibility. Responsible marketing. These are clothes made from other clothes. So you see, now you might think, who wears this? Who would want to wear clothes made from other clothes? But you would be surprised to know that the amount of people who would buy Patagonia because of their responsible nature in the West is huge. So although it's Sri Lanka, we won't even think about it. In the West, this is a sign of prestige, a sign of for people who love the environment, socially and also environmentally active consumers, who would proudly wear this brand and associate themselves with this brand, Patagonia, because of the social aspect and the responsibility displayed by this brand. Okay, so it's one of the best case studies. So ethical marketing, you may need to study some of these definitions. Ethical marketing is to apply the highest standards of ethics and morality when making marketing decisions. So as marketers, all of us are called to uphold ethics. And a sustainable company is a company that creates a value for customers through socially, environmentally, and ethically responsible actions. So now if you look at the Google example here, competitive market practices, the European Commission recently fined Google heavily for illegally using its search dominance to manipulate the results of its Google shopping search comparison services to favor its own shopping services at the expense of rivals. So this is the antitrust. Google shopping, the Commission, the European Commission, that fine them heavily. So now this is a top company in the world, but you can see trust and ethics are something that we need to all uphold in business. Because when the media gets hold of a story like this, they won't let go of it. Another example there is Puma's clever little bag. So look at their responsibility in terms of their packaging. Rethinking packaging. Puma's clever little bag is more than just friendly to the environment. It's also very friendly to consumer likes and the company's bottom line. So sometimes what you do in responsibility marketing can save costs. So you have to be creative. You can be socially responsible. You can be ethical. At the same time, that will help your bottom line. Another example, I think we spoke of this before, is Toyota. Toyota's environmental challenge, which has 6 challenges, 6 components. And their sustainability vision is the Toyota Environmental Challenge 2050 envisions moving towards a society where people, cars, and nature can coexist in harmony. So these are some of the examples of companies that are doing it well, upholding the ethics and balancing sustainability. Now, when we talk about balancing short-term need with long-term vision, right? And when we talk about the consumer's attitudes and behaviors, it is important that a strategic approach is adopted to integrate goals of the business with long-term sustainability needs. Now, guys, one of the things that are a big problem to companies to practice sustainability because it has business goals. Sometimes these two things are two different extremes. Do we go behind business goals or do we go behind sustainability goals? How do we manage both? So this is a big problem. And that's what we're sort of talking about, balancing short-term business goals or sales with long-term vision for sustainability. So implementing a circular economy where you upcycle, recycle, reuse, and practices to eliminate waste will be something that will build a sustainable supply chain. Offering eco-friendly products that meet rising consumer demand. So eco-friendly products can help differentiate a business and deliver what we call a sustainable competitive advantage. Tracking carbon footprint. Today, there are websites even you and I can access to calculate your carbon footprint. So I have included some of those websites in Google Classroom. So any company, even if you're a small company, you still can track your carbon footprint. And obviously, you need to link that with your business goals and to show your sustainability agenda, your sustainability credentials to your customers. Gradually switching to renewable energy rather than make an immediate costly transition. So gradual change is always better than radical change. Then when we talk about investor requirements on delivering a positive societal impact, investors always want high returns, shareholder returns, shareholder value, higher share price, higher dividends. So you need to constantly conduct regular engagement with investors, shareholders, to understand their priorities on ESG, carbon footprint reduction, and DE&I. Sometimes investors also think about the long term, not just the short term profits, and how you uphold ethics. But it is important to integrate your ESG to the business strategy. It is important to integrate your sustainability ESG efforts to the business strategy. If you can do this and find a correlation, this may depend on the product that you sell. But if you can find a correlation between these two, especially if you're a large manufacturing company like Unilever, like Nestle, it is very easy for you to integrate ESG into business strategy, and it is a must. Investing in sustainable supply chains, fair labor practices, community-driven initiatives that enhance both business value and social good. So major banks like HSBC have committed to net zero financed emissions by 2050. So you can see how even large service organizations like a bank, HSBC, have made commitments to net zero finance emissions. So you can get shareholder involvement, investor buy-in for your sustainability efforts. Now, this is a beautiful example of how McDonald's is rebranding. And you can see they're going from this kind of brand, this red color logo, especially in Europe and in some parts of the West, to this green, sustainable look of McDonald's. You can see it's only the M, right? McDonald's brand sits separately, M sits separately. So you can see they're going from this to this. And they are changing their products from this to this. So if you look at a green McDonald's, I don't mind my children going to McDonald's. Today, a lot of parents don't like fast food. KFC, McDonald's, Burger King. But what if it was healthy? What if the menu was healthy? So you eradicate all this and you go into a healthy menu, right? You go into healthy menus. And today in the West, there are two types of McDonald's. Increasingly, this is closing down. They're opening this. Because consumers are getting conscious. They are being aware of the social effects of obesity, people getting heart attacks at a very young age, and diabetes, and all the other health complications because of fast food, right? So you can make a huge change even in companies like McDonald's can change and be socially responsible, ethical. At the end of the day, they need to ask themselves, are we doing the right thing in selling unhealthy products to children, especially children? So if you redefine your business, you will need to then change your brand, change your logo, change your processes and your menu. And that is exactly what they're doing. So today there is not only investor needs and wants, customer needs and wants, you also need to look at employee wants. Employees are also an important stakeholder in marketing. So if you look at the Gen Z and millennials, you know, their work behavior is very different to that of the generations before that. Generation X, Generation Y, baby boomers, they're very different. Gen Z and millennials prioritize meaningful work with impact-driven roles, right? Impact-driven, meaningful roles. over financial rewards. Growing demand for corporate activism, where employees expect companies to take a stand on social issues like climate change, DE&I. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. I hope you have not forgotten, right? Companies expect flexibility and well-being support, especially after COVID. Employees want career growth with a social impact focus. Career growth with a social impact focus. Companies that embrace these shifts attract top talent and create long-term positive societal impact. So today, you not only need to look at your customer needs and wants and behaviors, investors, shareholders, staff, which are very, very critical. So in terms of stern values, beliefs, and norms, organizations that embed social responsibility, integrity, and sustainability into their DNA naturally will drive a positive change. Leaders should walk the talk on sustainability. Diversity and ethical leadership can create an empowered culture. So that is very important, because if you don't get the culture right, if leaders don't walk the talk, then you can't deliver anything. You have to make sure this happens. It must be led from the top, and a culture, an empowered culture. And it must be a genuine effort to be sustainable, encourage diversity, encourage and uphold ethics. So the societal impact is not just a corporate initiative, it must be embedded in everyday work culture. And it's very difficult because sometimes you have sales goals, business goals, short-term goals. But for you to be true to your values and your ethics, long-term goals on social responsibility, it's very difficult. But culture is the foundation of societal impact. Culture is the foundation of societal impact. Don't forget that. Because if you get the wrong culture, if you create the wrong climate, wrong leadership, then you can't achieve anything. It just becomes a namesake job. So a purpose-driven workforce ensures that social responsibility is more than just a corporate statement, right? So now one company that is also not selling a very healthy product, right? As you can see, my God, I'm getting thirsty by looking at this, right? But Starbucks is one company that has very strong values. Starbucks is a company that has very strong organizational values. So these are their values: craft, results, courage, belonging, and joy. Some of these words like joy, courage, belonging. Actively listen and connect with warmth and transparency. We recognize and appreciate every person for who they are. We treat each other with dignity and care. So these are their values. Now, one thing is to have these values. The other is to live by these values so that customers see it part of your culture. So that's a separate story, right? So you need to make sure you live by these values. We all saw the Ben and Jerry's mission. You watched the Ben and Jerry's video, one of the most ethical, socially responsible organizations with human rights focus, social focus, and environmental protection, restoration, and regeneration. So please watch the video on assessment criteria 1.1 on Ben & Jerry's. Is one of the world famous companies that is a responsible organization. And here we are in Sri Lanka. We have great examples as well. You have the Dilma Foundation that is doing quite a bit. And you can watch the video I have assigned on Dilma as to what they're doing. I have seen it with my My own eyes personally have seen what they are doing for the community. I have spent time with the community and I've spoken to people in the community, how they give free housing to some of their, people who are minor laborers who break tea and sometimes work in the factories, how they create creches and schools for their children whilst the mother goes to work. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I have genuinely seen it. They have created little cities and communities, right? So one other company is also MAS. Look at their mission, vision, and their purpose statements, right? Look at the objectives as to how it is broken down. Their products changed for good, lives changed for good, and planet changed for good. These are their, this is their plan for change. Our commitment to inspire sustainable change for 2025, right? So this is their plan. And if you go through each and every one of them, these are quantified, time bound, and there are initiatives that they undertake to deliver these efforts. So you can see how they are quantified, how these initiatives are delivering results, a genuine effort, a genuine effort. This is not confined to an annual report, guys. This is a company, it's a world-class company. It's a world-class company that show their genuineness in what they do to their customers, and therefore they command a higher price, right? Your customers who buy from MAS or who outsource their manufacturing to MAS know, and they have seen through a sustainability audit, they have seen this organization genuine, their genuine efforts on what they are doing to protect the environment and the social fabric. One great example, I love this picture, is she's no more. This is the former body shop owner and founder of body shop, Anita Roddick. So Anita Roddick passed away, but she founded a great company with a great purpose. And she talks about why the company exists. Why does body shop exist? Why does body shop exist? So these are some of the people she used to help in sub-Saharan Africa, right? We exist to fight for a fairer, more beautiful world. This is our purpose, and it drives everything we do. We believe in the beauty of the planet and the good of the people, but our world needs work. This is the founder of Body Shop, Anita Roddick. And she's world famous for creating a company that is focused on ethics, the highest level of ethics, fair pay. They don't do animal testing, and the values that they uphold as a brand. So now we come into the triple bottom line. So guys, the triple bottom line talks about 3 Ps. You need to study this because you are going to get questions on this. Profit, people, and planet. Now, why is it called the triple bottom line? So usually, guys, the bottom line in financials is the net profit. Bottom line means net profit. Now, in order to gain a net profit, usually when we run a business, we do these things. So this is the net profit focus, profit focus. Who are we doing this for? Mainly the shareholders. So you need to give dividends, share price appreciation. You need to ensure your shareholders are happy because they have invested in the business. You need to innovate, manage their capital efficiently, manage risks in the business, improve margins, growth, and shareholder returns. Now, before you go on to the P2 and P3, people and planet, you need to make sure you're earning a healthy profit. Don't even think about the planet. Don't even think about society, which is people. Planet is the environment. Don't even think about the environment or society if you're not running at a profit. Why? Because your fundamental responsibility is to ensure you give returns to your shareholders. You have to give returns to your shareholders. After you do that and you're running profitably, you have to then think about the other two P's, and we call it the triple bottom line because of that. You need to attempt to achieve social profits, environmental profits. Social profits is by means, what it means is you have to give back to society. You have to give back to the environment. Because in attempting to make a profit, you're also ruining the environment. You're ruining the social fabric. Think about the products and services. Think about all the unwanted things, the plastic, the bags, the pollution we create, all the unwanted things we manufacture and produce and sell. And we make a profit. We damage the environment. We damage the social fabric with all our ads and everything that we are trying to communicate. So you need to encourage people-related initiatives in the organization or social initiatives. Some companies embrace diversity, LGBTQ, DE&I, human rights, community outreach, labor relations. So you can embrace a cause. We call this cause-related marketing, environmental, planet-related, clean air, recycling, zero waste, biodiversity protection, emission reduction. These are all things that you can undertake. So you need to study the triple bottom line. And this is again how you will create initiatives for each P. So what will your company do to generate profit? What are your environment-related goals, as you can see in this example? What are you going to practice as initiatives to protect the environment? Then what are your social people-related initiatives? So you need to have quantified time-bound initiatives for each P. So we call this the triple bottom line, the triple bottom line. And obviously, you need to also set smart objectives. If you don't measure anything, you won't achieve anything. You need to measure. You need to measure. So your triple bottom line can be a theory that you use to set goals and objectives and measure them. So here are some examples. Implement a mental health support program to increase employee satisfaction scores by 20% in 2 years. Can you see it as how the objective is measured and time bound? Achieve 50% diverse representation in leadership roles by 2027. Allocate 2% of the revenue for community impact programs. For all employees, 5 paid volunteer days per year. Wow, what a good thing. So there are so many initiatives like this you can do, guys. Source 100% of raw materials ethically, fair trade, child labor free by 2030. That means you might need to change some of your suppliers and go back and improve your traceability of suppliers. Many companies can't trace their suppliers. They can only look at your immediate supply. But there are about 4 suppliers down the lane, right? If you go from supplier, there's another supplier, there's another supplier. So traceability, we call that traceability. Achieving net zero carbon emissions, shift 100% operations to renewable energy. So see how these quantify objectives. You can use the triple bottom line to set goals, smart objectives. Ensure all product packaging is 100% recyclable, compostable. Partner with conservation organization to restore 1 million acres of ecosystems. Ensure at least 30% of new product lines align with sustainability goals. So here's a continuation of the initiatives under each area of the triple bottom line. Right? So you need to study these guys. You need to study these, right? Of course, you are not doing an assignment, so you don't need to apply it, but you can get questions from the triple bottom line. Okay. So if you look at the different dimensions, the three pillars of sustainability are your profit, which is your economic profit, people, which is your social, and planet, which is your environment. We call this the three pillars of sustainability. So there are three pillars and five pillars. So these are the three pillars of sustainability in your triple bottom line: profit, people, and planet. Then so if you look at the SDGs, your UN Sustainability Development Goals. Your UN SDGs, as you can see here, there are 17 SDGs, but you can take all 17 and put them under the triple bottom line pillars. So you have the environmental pillar, social pillar, and the profit pillar, which is the economic pillar. Right? So SGD and the three pillars of sustainability. You can put all the SGDs under these three pillars. So you can set goals and objectives using the three pillars of the triple bottom line, as well as be in line with the UN Sustainability Development Goals. Right? And then there's the five pillars of sustainability. So you need to study this. So if you look at the UN SGDs, the three pillars are there. They have also extended into the five pillars of sustainability. So you can set goals and objectives using the five pillars of sustainability. So the five pillars are planet, that's environment, right? People, that's social. And the other three are peace, partnerships, prosperity. So these are the five pillars. It's all peace: planet, prosperity, peace, partnerships, and people. So all the sustainability development goals will fall inside the five pillars of sustainability. The five pillars of sustainability. So you need to study this as well, because there can be some questions around this. There can be questions around the five pillars of sustainability. So the challenges and opportunities with regards to sustainability. This is an interesting diagram. So what you see here, you see environmental sustainability in green, social sustainability in yellow, and profit or economic sustainability in blue. So when you look at this, it's like a tree. It all needs to work together: social, environmental, and economic sustainability. But there are challenges and there are opportunities. So you see the opportunities in blue, and the red ones are the challenges. So it's a nice tree, beautifully articulated. So circular economy are opportunities, green technologies, energy is an opportunity, resource management. But the issues are pollution, biodiversity, e-waste, carbon footprint, energy consumption, digital divide, accessibility, privacy. Then the opportunities are digital literacy, social engagement, equal opportunity. Again, you get some challenges: fair competition, inclusive growth, technological disruption, economic disparity, responsible. And so the list goes on. So it's interesting when you're looking at these sustainability challenges and opportunities, right? You can use the triple bottom line to gauge the challenges and opportunities in sustainability. So it's an interesting slide. And our job is to create a culture that fosters CSR, right? The research undertaken by a consulting firm, IO Sustainability, compared CSR programs within organizations against the rest of the company's operations. The study found that a winning strategy is one that A company identifies areas of social impact that fit with its core strategy. So you have the SGDs, 17 SGDs, you have to identify areas that will fit with your core strategy. Otherwise, it won't work. It can't be a superficial exercise. Makes a commitment by dedicating resources. If you don't dedicate resources, you're not making a firm commitment. Set clear key performance indicators, like we saw in the objectives. What are the things you are going to quantify, time bound, assign resources, allocate people to achieve? Otherwise, it's just a superficial exercise. And how do you connect and communicate with your stakeholders? Right? So if you don't do these, then your CSR strategies will fail. And corporate social responsibility is defined. That it is defined is the idea that business has a responsibility to the society that exists around. So here's something from Harvard that talks about a business case for sustainability. If you want to create a business case for sustainability, here are some of the factors that you can look at. It builds loyalty. It reduces production costs. It garners positive publicity, serves as a strong differentiator, attracts and retains employees, and the list goes on. So there are positives about embracing sustainability. There are positives about embracing sustainability in organization, right? So what is corporate social responsibility? Again, let's look at another definition, a bit of a longer definition. It's what you can see in the picture. Offering school children clean water is a great initiative, especially in Sri Lanka, where there's no access to clean drinking water, especially in some rural areas. So CSR is commonly defined as a business model in which companies integrate social and environmental concerns in their business operations and interactions with their stakeholders instead of only considering economic profits. Why CSR? What are the benefits of CSR? There are many reasons. It increases employee engagement, improves customer loyalty, better bottom line, uh, more support for local and global communities, increased investment in opportunities, PR opportunities, brand awareness, customer retention, staff retention, employer brand, profile the company's reputation, have a competitive advantage. It's a strong source of differentiation and an ability to charge a premium price. So these are some of the positives or reasons as to why you should practice CSR. So we have the Carroll CSR pyramid. Okay. This theory is similar to the triple bottom line, but it has 4 layers. What it's saying is the first responsibility of a manager is to make sure that there is profits. That means economic responsibility. So you have to be profitable. Without being profitable, you can't think of CSR. That's your first step, economic profit. Then, obviously, you need to make sure you make your profits within the laws of the land. Your legal responsibility. Obey the law. Your legal responsibility. Then you have an ethical responsibility. Be ethical. An ethical response. Now, there is a difference between law and ethics. Laws are legal clauses that you need to abide by. Otherwise, you'll be punished. Ethics are a bit of a funny word because ethics are something that is not stated in the law, but it is a norm. Do what is expected, ethics. But sometimes what is ethical to me may not be ethical to you, and vice versa. So you need to understand ethics in a very broad sense. People can argue, no, that is not ethical, but to you it might be ethical. And finally, the philanthropic responsibility. How do you as an organization be a good global corporate citizen? What is your philanthropic responsibility? Give something back. So the rule of thumb here, guys, is usually 1% of your net profits if you can give back. Not 1% of your revenue, 1% of your net profits. You should try and give back to the society and people, and also your initiatives that you undertake for the environment. So I've given you a note on these 4 steps here. You can read that. And we sort of discussed this before as well, setting goals and objectives using CSR. So you can look through environmental goals on sustainability, climate action, social goals, community diversity, EDI related, employee well-being, ethical governance, fair business practices, and transparency. Many companies practice a wide range, and your economic responsibility, sustainable growth, and creating stakeholder value. So this concept of ESG that we talk about, you can watch a video on it as well. I have put some reading material. So ESG is environmental, social, and governance. So I think we know what environmental and social is now. So the ESG principle talks about this word governance. Governance means you do things ethically. You run the business ethically. You pay your executives a fair price, avoid bribery and corruption, political lobbying and donations. You avoid doing that, accepting gifts, bribes, encourage diversity in the board level structure, and pay your taxes. That is called governance. So large companies focus on governance, good governance. So that's your ESG strategy. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about the GDPR Act. So GDPR is a Data Protection Act, formerly the Data Protection Act, now a data protection policy. While not a legal requirement, serves as a crucial scrutiny protocol to systematize the utilization, oversight, and governance of data within the organization. So the GDPR is a European law. Although after Brexit, Britain went out of Europe, still Britain also practices the GDPR. So the GDPR has 7 data protection principles. If you're collecting data of your customers, you need to make sure it is lawful and fair and transparently processed. You can't misuse data of your customers. You have to limit the purpose of the use of data. Data minimalization or minimization. Accuracy of data, up to date. Limit your storage. People should not leave the company and take the data in a pen drive and go. Integrity and confidentiality, accountability. One of the purposes of the GDPR is to protect individuals' fundamental rights from freedoms, particularly their right to protection of their personal data. So this is very, very strict in Europe. The right to one's private life is laid down in the European Convention, right? So if you have any exposure to this, well, in Sri Lanka, we have a Data Protection Act, but it's not very strong. That's why people leave companies, they take the entire database, Excel sheets, everything and go, because it's not very strong. But in Europe, you'll be fined for millions of pounds and euros if you violate the Data Protection Act. So you need to be careful. And the Global Reporting Initiative, I've included some reading on this as well, is a reporting institute. So It is an international independent standards organization that helps businesses, governments, and other organizations understand and communicate their impacts on issues such as climate change, human rights, and corruption. So please read up on the Global Reporting Initiative. All right. So with that, we finish assessment criteria 1.3. I will see you in assessment criteria 2.1.